You are listening to The Power of Peace with Kit Cummings. Kit delivers his thought-provoking perspectives on mental health, addiction, and incarceration, especially as it pertains to the youth, as well as other relevant firebrand issues. He also shares his 12-year journey working within the schools, juvenile courts, juvenile prisons, and with law enforcement.
Hey everybody, Kit Cummings. This is the Power of Peace podcast, powered by the Power of Peace Productions, which supports our 501c3, the Power of Peace Project. This is my lovely co-host and wife, Terrie.
Hi everybody. Please join us at 1 o'clock on Mondays. You never know what you're going to hear because we talk about some crazy subjects.
Hey everybody, Kit Cummings, Power of Peace podcast. So glad that you dropped by to listen. I'm gonna jump right in because I'm very, very excited. I've been looking forward to this show for a while. Today I get to have my manager, Terrie, on. She she manages me and kind of runs this Power of Peace thing. And I've got a crush on her. So don't tell anybody. I know that's inappropriate. But no, this is my beautiful wife. And I've been looking so far. Her name's Terrie. And we've been together 18 years. We're about to celebrate 17 in August. Mm-hmm. And best thing that ever happened to me. So I'm going to try not to get all emotional today. So say hey to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So we'll just jump in. Okay. First, we had a interesting way that we met. So tell them
how we met.
How we met. Go ahead.
We met on Match.com. So that was something that was pretty new at the time, although I had been on there for a little bit off and on. And back then, you could wink at somebody. That's what it was called, wink. And he winked at me, and I looked at his profile, but I was like, no, not for me. Yeah, I really did that. Then about 2 weeks later, he winked at me again. So I was like, okay, let me look at this dude a little bit further. So I looked at his profile and I started reading it seriously, and I was like, oh, we have a lot in common. And so I winked back, and then we started emailing and talking to each other on the phone. We made a couple of dates, and I kept canceling on the dates because
playing hard to get.
Yeah, something else would come up, and I'd decide I would rather do that than meet a stranger. And but then he kept on. He really pursued me, and then we went on a date. And the first date that we went on, I knew immediately that I was going to marry him. Yep, knew immediately.
Like that.
Yeah.
And then what happened? I walked you to your car. I gently shook your hand, said goodbye and thank you. And then what happened?
And then on my way home, it was only like 5 minutes later, he called and said, "You are gorgeous. When can I see you again?" And then, so we met on a Tuesday night. We went on a date on Friday night. And then that was all she wrote. We were together every day after that.
You got to admit that was a move.
It was a move. It was totally a move. Yeah.
Sincere.
Yeah.
So here we are 18 years later, and we're going to kind of tell our story. It has been a very exciting ride. And now, like or online dating is like the thing. Everybody does it. This was right after Match.com just came out. It was 2005, and it was kind of like a stigma. You don't want anybody to know. It's kind of like, and now it's the deal. So we should do a Match.com commercial or something.
Oh, we should do a Match.com.
So if you're out there, Match.com.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a whirlwind romance that first. Now, if anybody's watched my podcast, they know that I've been very open about addiction that runs through my family line and how that's played a role in my journey, but also some about mental health and how, all that played. And it's interesting, when you meet somebody and you're in that first year, you're not just trying to, divulge.
Yeah, you don't tell all your secrets in the first year.
Or even maybe in the first year, I don't know. But anyway, It was like I was dealing with a lot, man. I'd been through some stuff and I was out there on my own. And so anyway, then my angel arrived. So anyway, it was like at the end of the first year, I come to you and say, I got to stop drinking. And we had just, I mean, I'm telling you, that first year, it was incredible, but it was like, it was on. And, you know, I could go pretty hard back then. And so, you know, I came to you and I said, you know, I got to stop drinking. And on December the 27th, 2005, I had my last drink 4 days before the biggest party night of the year. And then we got engaged and were married that next August. So my life radically changed because my, you know, my best friend alcohol was now gone, and so it's a very uncomfortable period. But I don't know what was that like, and I kind of dropped that bomb, and then it was hard. You know, our engagement and early years of marriage.
Well, the funny thing about that, but not haha funny, but just, funny thing about that was before he came to me and told me he was going to stop drinking, I had already started thinking to myself, I'm not so sure that I want to continue to date this person. He's drinking a lot more than what I want to. I'm really ready to start settling down and not staying up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was really ready. Although I was partying with him, it wasn't to the degree that he was. And so I was really ready in my life to stop behaving that way. So when he came to me, I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. But it was hard because all of our friends, our family, the people around us that we were always with were drinking as well. And so when he decided, that didn't mean that I was going to stop drinking, right? So we were still, I was still drinking, and our friends and all were still drinking. And I noticed how hard it was on him to be around us while we were drinking and he was not. So I loved him enough and saw that that was really hurting him. There was a pain that was there, anxiety, anxious, that he couldn't drink. And so he would walk away and be by himself while we're away. And that was not what I wanted for him either. So I decided that I would stop drinking. And I did. So I was actually the designated driver for my bachelorette party. And I really only stopped drinking for about 6 months, but it changed everything when I did that because the support that I was able to give him and the love that I was able to give him and show him during that time, I think was a big game changer.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. I didn't expect you to because, I mean, you don't have the same problem I have. I mean, you can have a glass of wine, everything's cool. If you have two, you get silly, and that's kind of fun. But anyway, that did mean a lot to me, because that was early on. So we get into this new marriage, and I'm trying to, find my way. And also, I'd been a preacher for all those years, and then that ended, in a very tough way, which I've also been very open about. And so now I'm a preacher without a pulpit and no alcohol to make me feel at ease. And so we were in love and we were committed to one another, but it was that intimacy was missing. And one of the things, that I missed terribly was my calling. I couldn't preach anymore because I had, my fall from grace was public and I felt like I was disqualified. So I was out there. Terrie's has been a realtor for over 25 years, and now she's come on board and we're working together as the manager and COO and trying to keep me in line. But in real estate, you always had that career and you did great at it. Well, I'm trying to figure out how to support my family and take care of our kids, and so I'm doing stuff like mortgage banking. I was horrible. I was terrible. Do I look like a mortgage banker? And then I was like, real estate. I was trying to manage realtors. I didn't know real estate. And then it was like insurance. It's just like I was a fish out of water. I was miserable. And then everything began to change. And I found my voice again. I found the prison ministry, and my life, it came alive. I was able to not just go back to my calling, but it was a roaring fire. I was so excited about it. And then this Power Peace thing came along. I launched my 501c3, and then God began to open doors, and man, I hit the road. And for 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, like for those 5 years, I was on the road, and I'm talking about going all over. across the country, just about every state, 4 continents, going into crazy prisons and writing books. And I just became, just caught up in this love of what I wanted to do. What I didn't realize for a number of those years is I'd left you behind. And I'm out there and everybody's cheering, for this great thing that I'm trying to do. And my wife was left at home alone and began to kind of wither. And then obviously resentment, set in, which I don't, I explain it like this. It's kind of like my career, my ministry became the other woman. And I didn't understand why you didn't love the other woman. Everybody else loves the other woman. Why don't you? And so you resented my work, which I totally understand now. But that was hard, wasn't it? Because, you fell in love and then I went,
It was more than hard.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was a lot more than just hard. We had become two ships in a night, and that there was a lot of resentment, a lot of anger built up, and to the point of, when you did come home on the weekend, I really didn't want you there because it was too stressful, and it was like being roommates with someone instead of having a true intimate marriage.
Sure.
And what I had always wanted was a true intimate marriage, somebody that you spend time with. And it's for me, it's God, family, business, and we live our lives like that now. But it took some doing. It took a lot of changing, to get to this point. Yeah.
It did, and we're going to talk about that. But God, family, business. It's easy to say that, and I believed it to be true. I'm doing this for God. I love my family, and then but it wasn't true. I couldn't see it. Really, it was business, God, family. I don't know what it was, but I mean, I was so passionate, and I still am about what I do. But my priorities were all out of whack. And so around 2015, 2016, man, it basically got to where it was over. And I've always said that I believe this, in your mind, whether it's a job or a relationship or something that you're involved in, I think there's a line mentally that if you cross it, it's very hard to come back. If you decide, I don't want to do this anymore, whether it's a job and then you just decide, it's hard to pull it back. But certainly in a relationship, we both had just kind of gotten to the point where this ain't going to work. And when I tell you, this is for those who, need hope in their relationship. Maybe you've been married a long time and maybe that spark is dwindling, or maybe it's kind of gone like with us. I want to give you hope, because when I say it was over, it was over. It was like, call the attorney and say, hey, run it back. We're going to do this again. And I don't know what would have happened to me if that was. I think God just protected us. But, when I say it was over, it was over. And so we'll go on, to the next place. It was a very interesting way that God began to pull us back across that line. We had a dog named Bogey, and Bogey was one of the most amazing dogs. We have Westies, these little West Highland Terriers that we love. And Bogey was the wisest, most beautiful dog, and you were so close to him. He dug me, but he adored you. And so my life had been, man, when it was time to go, I was like, I'm going to South Africa, babe. I wasn't asking. I'd be like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to Ukraine. I'm going back to Tijuana again, which was super dangerous. And I wasn't really even consulting you or saying, how do you feel about this? It was just, it was on. And so that night, I was at UGA, and my son was at UGA. We were launching the Pop Club, which is a student organization. Been planning for it for a good long minute. And I was in Athens that night, an hour and a half away from where we live in Marietta, and we were literally about to start the program, and all of a sudden the phone rang, and it was my wife, and she was crying and said, Bogey died. And it was just weird. He just went to sleep and just didn't wake up, and she was obviously very, very heartbroken. And it was weird. For the first time, and I know this doesn't sound like a huge deal, but it was, I said, I'll be right there. And I looked at my son and I said, handle it. And he didn't even know what the heck to do. I just said, deal with it. I got to go. And I raced home an hour and a half. And that was the beginning of our turning point, because I was putting you ahead of me and my ministry. But anyway, Do you feel that way? Like that was a beginning? We weren't near, I'm going to tell you in a minute, we weren't near there. I mean, but.
No, we weren't near there. It was something. I mean, we had already said we were getting a divorce. We had already picked out the attorney for the divorce. Said we were just going to make it as amicable as we possibly could. And then that night that Bogey died, and he came home. He stopped everything. And he came home, and I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but that was the first time he had ever put me first. When he found, let me say this, when he found his dream of working in prisons and he started going down that road, nothing else mattered. Nothing, really, truly nothing else mattered. It was that complete passion for that, which you do have to have that when you are starting something. And if you don't have that kind of passion and you don't run after that dream, then it's really not going to come true. And it can be very difficult to balance your dream with family and with God. So when he did come, drop everything, and he came home to be with me that night and bury Bogey, it was the turning point. But there was a lot of work that went into getting our marriage back to, well, better than ever. I mean, we've never, even in the beginning, our marriage was nowhere near as strong or as intimate or as loving or as caring as what it is now. Yep. Even in the beginning, it was not what it is now. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe in miracles. Like, I really, really do. You know I do. We do. And I've seen so many things that I can't explain other than God got involved and did for me what I couldn't do. This is the biggest one, because it was like a resurrection, from the dead. And it was, I guess we both just had a spark left. But now we do workshops, and I'll be, talking to the guys, and if it's a men's thing. And I asked a question recently, I can't remember where I was, somewhere in LA or somewhere. And somebody asked a question and said, how long did it take for you to win her back? And I don't know if he thought I was going to say a month, or whatever. And I immediately, I said 3 years. And there was quiet in the room, like 3 years. And I'm like, yep. If you walk 20 miles into the woods and turn around, you're not out of the woods. You got 20 miles to walk back. And there was so much that I had to do to win your heart back. Mm-hmm. And so those 3 years, man, so much went into it. And I'll say this too, this is my conviction. Men, I think in a marriage relationship, it really has to do with us. And people say, well, how did you do it? And, how did you guys put it back together? And I say, I changed. Basically, I changed. And that began. Now, did Terrie change? Sure she did. I mean, he's been working on both of us for a long time. But I had to start it, and I had to sustain it. And really, you deserved it for me to have to win your trust and your heart back. And so we put that work in, and then the pandemic came. And so we had gotten to a point in those 3 years where we just didn't love each other. We were in love. And, interestingly, in a new way. It's not like we went back to our first love. It was a new love. The first love was real, but this was something different. We were working toward intimacy. And during the quarantine, and the pandemic in general, people were cooped up in their houses, and where they weren't usually like that. And I know this from studies, marriages and divorce skyrocketed as people were cooped up and they weren't ready for that. Praise God that we were ready for it, and we put our relationship on steroids. And so we were together, we're empty nesters. We were together in that house, for whatever it was, 2 or 3 months or however long it was. And we got super intentional, and our routines became everything. So let's talk, and kind of, now we're going to let you in on where we are now. I just told you where we were, and there's so much more. I mean, I messed it up. But where we are today is something that is beyond what I ever believed was possible. God did immeasurably more than I could imagine and gave me what I didn't believe I was able to have. I thought I was damaged goods. I just hope I can stay married, but I never believed that I could have true intimacy, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, with another person, because of my past. And so, let's talk about that, the quarantine, and kind of how how we built it and kind of talk about our routines a little bit.
Okay. Well,
Like when I get home from work, let's talk about the daily first. What do we do?
well, normally when you get home from work, we typically go on a walk. We take the dogs to the park and walk every day. That is a very important piece of our routine because it allows us to just decompress the day. It allows us to talk and go through what happened throughout the day for both of us, you know,
Work.
and listen to each other and walk and get exercise. Then once we get home, I'm cooking. I'm cooking.
She's
He
bad.
might do
She's
a little bit of something here and there while I'm cooking, but
sous chef, but really
yeah,
not.
yeah, not really even that. He wants to say he's a sous chef.
I am.
But
I
it's-
chop things sometimes. She lets me
Sometimes.
grate the cheese
Yeah,
because I can't
sure, yeah.
screw that up too
You'll
much.
you'll
But
grate the cheese, yeah,
anyway.
that's for sure. But even so, we're in there talking. It's not we're not separated while
put the
we're
music
cooking.
on.
Put music on. We have dinner. We have our little favorite shows that we watch. Then after dinner,
Well, let's not go there yet. We used to watch TV in separate chairs.
oh yeah,
Okay.
totally separate
So we
chairs.
renovated our whole, place. Ooh, and we ought to talk about the beach. And we made it so we have this cool setup to where we're together. We watch our shows. I mean, we're right here, and that's what we like. You know what I'm saying? So we have that bonding time. So we unload the day when we walk, and we are allowed to talk about work. And sometimes it might be you, sometimes it might be me, but we get it out. Then when we get home,
At 7 o'clock, the phones go off.
period, point blank.
My phone goes off at 7 o'clock. His phone goes off at 7 o'clock.
No exceptions.
And the only people that can reach us is our family. Okay, no exceptions. No work, no email, no text after 7.
No news.
No news. Very intentional on that. No social media for sure.
Oh, we stay off of that.
After 7 o'clock.
We hardly do it anyway.
Yeah, we hardly do that. I mean, it's not, I'm hardly ever on there. So that's been a real game changer, making sure that we are paying attention to one another and not our phones and not what others are doing. Because bottom line, people, is the people that are on social media are not going to be paying your bills. They're not in your marriage. They're not, it's nice to look at, okay, and dream of what other people may be doing. That's right. But the intimacy comes between the two of you spending quality time together. And that means paying attention to one another.
It does.
That's the only way that you can know what each other's needs are as well. And
True.
you have to be able to meet each other's needs.
True. And after we eat, who cleans?
He cleans the kitchen. Now, he may not be a cook, but I'm very spoiled with this, that's for sure. I cook, he cleans. And so that has just become our habit, our hobbit.
Hobbit.
Our habit. And then while he's cleaning, I run a bath. And then when I run a bath, we take our baths together every single night.
It's like try to get us not to. You used to. Here is what happened, is I set out to fall in love with everything that you love, okay? It used to be like, let's go to Home Depot. Oh, baby, I don't like to shop. Hey, let's get out and do some yard work. I mean, why don't we pay somebody to do that? Let's cook. Baby, I don't cook. I'm terrible at it. Let's go for a walk. Let's chill. Just I could keep going, and just selfish and lazy. I mean, tell you the truth, that's what it is. And a lot of times men try to complicate it, like, well, she needs to do this and that. Really, it was just like, I just fell in love with what you love. And so now all of a sudden we love walking, we love cooking, we love spending time, we love our shows. But bath time, you say, let's take a bath. And I'd be like, I can't fit in the bathtub, baby, because, I'm 6'4", and we got a little bath, And then we started trying it. And again, this was quarantine. Now it's like we crave it. And what do I call it? I call
Spa
it
pretzel.
Spa pretzel.
That is what our bathtub is called, spa pretzel.
But this is intentional too. Is the reason we do it because it's awesome. But and really the whole thing is, I mean, candles and lighting and music, and that's where we chill. We really just let the day go, and we just kind of have fun and enjoy one another's company. And then, you know, that's a bonding time, man. So when we get done with that, now it's time to go down and watch our shows or even play a game. We used to have a lot of game nights, and now we've decided, man, we got to get back to game night out on the deck and play, you know, trivia or, you know, have some sort of contest. We won't, we won't talk about that. All right. So,
So?
our routines. Now, part of the way that God made my brain is routines are so important. And so I mean, the Bible says that we need a suitable helper. My wife is so much more than a suitable helper. She helps me. She manages me in a lot of ways. You understand my brain. You understand my nature. And I trust you in the way that I get advice. I let you guide me. When we have disagreements, and everybody does, we've come up with a special word. And if we're having some kind of stupid little quarrel, no, you didn't. Yes, you did. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. And it doesn't matter. It's not a meaningful fight. Some are meaningful. Just fight fair. We have our little word, and when one of us says it, we'll go ahead and say it. When one of us says Lotus, it's like, okay, it's over. We both have to okay, stop. Just stop. And so it's our little trick. And so anyway, our routines are very, very important. So suffice it to say, that God brought our marriage from the brink of divorce, can't get closer, to the marriage of our dreams. I mean, I really believe that. I am in love with my wife. I just love her. And I thought about this last night. I think it's cool. I'm going to start saying it. But it's like we have sleepovers every night. Remember how when you have sleepovers when you were younger, and it was like, it was so great. You played, you laughed, and it's like, can I stay over? It's like that. It's like I look forward. Oh, we also do flirty text, you know, pretty much every day. You know, that's kind of fun. And you receive something every month, don't you? That don't.
I'm not gonna say.
All right, but
don't.
kind of tell.
He's so funny. So yes, I receive a package every month. That went off.
That's okay.
Okay. I receive a package every single month, and they're just things that make me feel pretty. They're things that make me feel pretty, and in return, because they make me feel pretty, they make him feel zesty. We'll say zesty.
Zesty is
zesty.
That is a word.
Yeah.
Maybe
that just came off the top of my
maybe
top of my head.
that'll be our next book. Zesty.
Zesty.
No, but I'll tease this. Our next book, I think it's going to be called Spoiled, because we do brownie point contests. Okay, so oh crap, we forgot about this. Twice a week, usually we have massage night, right? And we're becoming better and better at being masseuses and masseurs, you know. And so that's fun. I hope y'all can handle the truth. And so, you know, it's fun. We probably need to stop here as far as, you know, we got to keep this. So anyway, now I look so forward to coming home at night because we get to have like a play date. We get to have a date night. And it really is like that. And I hope that if you're listening or watching, this is very sincere and real. I mean, you can't fake this, and we can't take any credit for it. I can give her a lot of the credit. Really, it started with me, and this is serious. It's like, man, my conviction is, regardless of whose fault it is, it's my responsibility to change, to reconcile, to, you know, make up, to whatever, and serve one another. And I think we do that good. And so we do the brownie point system, and we have prizes and things for that. So that's kind of fun. But anyway, we'll wrap, you know, this up. We could go on and on, but now it blows my mind that we get on stages and teach. I don't know about teach. Yeah, I guess teach, but share with people some things that can bring back a marriage, bring the fire back, or even just begin it for the first time. And I can't believe that we get to do that because of where we were. And so anyway, you've now joined the team, and you're part of the Power of Peace project, and, you know, running the operations, but also managing me. Any final thoughts about your knucklehead husband or you know, how about dreams? Let's finish with a bucket list dream or something.
What, the bucket list?
Any bucket list dream, like something you want us to do. Because, we do quarterly getaways, somewhere we can usually drive, Nashville,
That's
Asheville,
really
New
important.
Orleans, Charleston,
Yeah.
Hilton Head, somewhere. Quarterly getaways to recharge, and then a big trip each week.
Yeah, big
Each
trip. That would
year.
be nice, a big trip.
Each year, but just pick
each
one
year.
and see if you pick the one that I'm thinking about where you want to go.
Well, I want to do the Mediterranean cruise down on the Viking. Yeah.
That's not one of the big old carnival things.
No,
This
the
one's
Viking
like a
is
small
it's
one.
very small ship. It only holds 930 people. No kids are allowed.
No kids.
No umbrella drinks. No big old water parks on the ship.
just
Now, if that's
cool.
what you're into, okay, that's totally fine. But we're very selfish with our time. We're really very much into being with each other all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And so now for the ladies out there, one thing I will say is you definitely have to let go of resentments. If you cannot let go of resentments of the things that have happened and you cannot find forgiveness and trust, then it's not going to get any better. Because he keeps saying he changed, and he did. He did a lot of changing, and he's still changing. I mean, this is a day-to-day working progress all the time on your marriage. It just is. But he would not have been able to be at the place that he's in if I would have not let go of all the resentments that I had for the traveling and feeling like I was not important.
Very true.
That's important, a very, very important piece to
Fiercely
remember.
protect our time, and we're very intentional about when we spend time with others. But so many times, sometimes we'll have something to do at night, like something to go to, and we're like, "Do we really gotta go?" Because we like chilling. Okay, so mine. I'll close with this. I want to go to Bora Bora and be in one of them little huts with the glass bottom. You can see all that
Totally,
stuff.
totally.
All right, so y'all heard it. I'm saying it out loud. Manifest that
Bora Bora.
thing.
Well,
Bora Bora.
that's going to have to be a first-class flight for me, because how long is that flight? That's like 22, 24 hours or something.
Well, we'll see about
That's
that.
a long
Plus,
flight.
it's dang air pretzel for me, man.
I know,
I
that's
can't
what
even
I'm
travel
saying.
anymore.
It's going to have to
It's
be.
like I feel like a dentist. The person in front of me, their head's right there. It's like I can do something.
Yeah, it's going to
Okay.
have to be something first class so you can stretch those long legs.
You're a trip.
Yeah.
You're a trip.
You're a trip.
Well, whatever.
All right.
All right, so we're going to wrap. Thanks for hanging out with us as we just chat. But please believe in miracles, fall in love again, and being very intentional and outserve one another. But the man starts first. That's what I think. I hope you guys will stop back by. We talk about things that in a way that maybe are new and fresh and look at different angles. And so tune in next week. It's Mondays at 1 o'clock. And thank you, darling.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
Peace.